Chapter 14. Books that many people know. Not all the sets published by the Review of Reviews ran into such figures as $1 million sales. The O. Henrys and the Simons and the Wells are rare birds, and fortunate indeed is the publisher who gets hold of them. There has to be something remarkable about the work itself, as a rule, though it is even more important that there should be something remarkable about the advertising, as Nelson Doubleday proved when he took an ordinary book of etiquette and sold 1 million copies of it by extraordinary advertising. Not every book will lend itself to such a sale even with the finest advertising, but the sale of any book can be greatly stimulated by the proper kind of advertising. It is merely a matter of finding the primal human motive your book appeals to, be it love or gain or fear or ambition, and then directing your appeal at that motive. When I went with the review, they had on hand about 5,000 sets of Rudyard Kipling, the leftovers of a big sale of several years before. The sale over, Kipling had languished for a while, but a new letter brought it promptly back to life, and the 5,000 sets changed hands in a few weeks' time. Not a large matter, of course, but every $150,000 sale helps by that much to swell the grand total. We could have sold a lot more, but manufacturing costs had gone up so much that Mr. Lanier hesitated to put so much money into a set of books that had, for a while at least, been so hard to move. Here is the letter and circular that moved what we had. The long winter evenings are here. Do you want to make them different this year? Want to get more pleasure and profit out of them than ever before? If you do, then you want something we've got. This is the first letter telling our friends about it. It is the complete works of Rudyard Kipling, the greatest living writer and poet. The first complete collection ever published of all his wonderful stories, tales, and poems. And in every single story throughout the 4,500 pages, there is a thrill for you. Some mystery of old India, some human tangle that keeps you enthralled until the last word is told. Some tale of love or war. It may be the story of Hans, the blue-eyed Dane and Anne of Austria. It may be about the spy that got aboard an English battleship and the glorious joke they played upon him. It may be a tale of the old Irish who took Lung Tung Pen, naked as they were born. It may be one of his stories for children, about Wee Willie Winkle who marched out alone to fight an Indian tribe, of Mowgli and Man Cub of the Jungle, or Kim, the most precious little kid that ever walked in the pages of a book. Or it may be one of his immortal poems that have the lilt and the swing of a martial song. The recessional, if East is East and West is West. But there are hundreds of them. But whatever one it is, if it's by Rudyard Kipling, it is a wonderful story or poem. One that will jolt you right out of yourself and into another world and won't let you go until you have finished it. There are 60 thrilling stories and 35 splendid poems. The whole beautifully bound in silk cloth, in 25 volumes with gilt tops and gold lettering on the backs. Let us send these 25 volumes to you at our own expense for a week's free examination. The enclosed card brings them to you by prepaid express. If you like them, you can send us $1 at the end of the week and then $1.50 a month for 19 months. If not, you can return them without question, at our expense. Remember, there is no sale, no obligation to keep the books until you have tried them out for a week in your own home and are satisfied. Just let us send them to you for a week's examination. But remember too, that paper is so scarce that we were able to get only enough to bind up 5,000 sets, and it may be months before we are able to get enough more to bring out another edition. So if you would be sure of getting a set at the present low prices, put your name on the enclosed card now and drop in the mail. Yours truly. Another set which had been gathering dust on the review shelves for a number of years was the Spanish and Italian romances. These never had done well. We had about 3,000 bound sets on hand, and unbound sheets enough to make about 5,000 more. With the following letter, we cleaned up 3,000 sets at $10.50, and then closed out the balance at $4.98. Considering that the stock had long since been written off, there was a goodly profit in the sales at these prices, especially as the order cost proved to be very low. While they last, 53% off. The mind, relaxing into needful sport, should turn to writers of an abler sort, whose wit well managed, and whose classic style give truth a luster and make wisdom smile. Dear reader, You know how everyone loves a good story, how young and old alike will listen wide-eyed to tales of mystery or romance, to stories of love or adventure. Here is your chance to get the stories on which the literature of a dozen languages is based, at a discount of 53%. In cleaning out our stockroom to make ready for the big new edition of O. Henry soon to be delivered, we found that we had left over some 300 sets of the famous Tales from the Spanish and Italian, only one limited edition of which has ever been printed. The finest flower of 4 centuries of Spanish imagination, the choicest masterpieces of 600 years of Italian story, tellers have here been gathered together into one complete set of 8 volumes, beautifully illustrated, bound in silk cloth and stamped in gold. From Cervantes to Ibanez, from Boccaccio to D'Annunzio, the greatest storytellers of Spain and Italy are here, represented by their most delightful works, more than half of them now presented to English readers for the first time. These 8 volumes were made up to sell at a price of $15. In the post-war deflation, that price was reduced to $10.50, and 3,000 sets were sold at that figure. Now there are only some 300 left, and 300 sets are not enough to advertise in our usual way. So while they last, we make you this offer. Mail the enclosed card, without money, and we will send you these 8 volumes at 53% less than the $10.50 price, $4.98. There's no margin in that for collection expense, as you can guess, so we ask you to pay the postman or expressman your $4.98 when the volumes reach you. If, after reading them for a week, you are not entirely satisfied, if at the end of that time you are not convinced that this is the biggest book bargain you have ever had, send them back at our expense and your $4.98 will be refunded immediately and in full. There are no strings to this offer. The $4.98 is yours when you want it. But remember, there are only some 300 of these sets left and 300 won't last long. So send your card now, this minute. This is your last chance. Earnestly yours. On offers such as these, we were content to sell the stock on hand and forget them. But sometimes we deliberately set a small quota for ourselves, when our goal was quality rather than quantity. When Mr. Stone arranged with Bruce Barton to sell his 2 books, The Man Nobody Knows and The Book Nobody Knows, in connection with the review of reviews, he set a mark of 25,000 as the number of sales he wanted. Why? Because he felt that he needed just that many more thoughtful, serious-minded readers for the review to balance the subscription list. You see, a subscription list has to be planned just as any other list is, with the object of giving to the advertiser a fair cross-section of the type of reader he seeks. You don't want all your readers to be men of mature age. You don't want all of them from one business or class or devoted to one interest. The ideal list is a diversified list, a list evenly balanced between all the types that make up the more intelligent classes of American readers. How are you to get such a balanced list? To an extent, you can do it by circularizing certain professions and occupations, but that will never keep your subscription list over 100,000. To get a big volume of subscribers, you must branch out into general lists, and then your chance for selection is gone. So, since you can no longer pick the kind of subscriber you want, you have to so arrange your offer that the type of reader you want will pick you. And that is the main purpose of a premium. Take Bruce Barton's books as an instance. Who would want these? Only the more seriously inclined reader, thoughtful men and women, seekers for light and truth. Mr. Stone felt that he needed 925,000 more of that type of reader on the review lists, so he chose the Barton books to winnow out that wheat from the chaff of general book buyers. To do that, we tried, as we usually did, 2 letters, each from a quite different angle. In this particular case, both pulled about equally well, so we used first one and then the other. Between them, they sold the 25,000 sets at a profitably low selling cost. Here are the letters and circular. Dear reader, Jesus Christ, the founder of modern business. Jesus, a master of efficiency and organization, a born executive. Jesus, a sociable man, a cheerful, bright companion with a pat story on his lips, an outdoor man with clear eyes and hard muscles. Jesus wording the best advertisements ever written? Yes, this is the Jesus Christ now being introduced to hundreds of thousands of businessmen and busy women by Bruce Barton. Barton is himself a brilliant, successful young American businessman, as well as a writer. In his book, The Man Nobody Knows, he brings to us, in our daily work, a Jesus we never knew before, one who set examples for us, not in some ideal and impossible way, but in our job, managing a bank or clerking, selling automobiles, doing professional work, furnishing something of service. This is one of the two books Bruce Barton has written, which are storming the imaginations and hearts of people everywhere, proving sensations on the movie screen, quoted from in 1,000 newspapers, read eagerly by hundreds of thousands of alert, successful men and women, overjoyed to find that so far from being a figure apart from their lives and daily work, sadly incompatible with them, Jesus Christ is one they can like, talk to, work with, get lessons from, even in the very technique of their craft. This is one of Barton's two books. The other is, of course, the Bible. The book nobody knows. In the same way, Barton has brought the Old Testament into our lives and jobs and present-day thoughts and standards. Think of it. 1,000,000 men and women doing the active work of the world, suddenly finding Jesus Christ and the Bible close to them, useful, part and parcel of their daily lives and of human endeavor to succeed. Barton's two books interest and aid the rich and powerful. They help any Cub salesman to get orders for shoe polish and to work on principles that lead him toward riches and power. Now, you who have thought of Christ as an ascetic, a mystic, a physical weakling, a man of sorrows, will want to meet this cheerful, able founder of modern business. If you can read only two books more in your life, these two must be the ones. The Review of Reviews takes pride in being the distributor of such books as Wells' Outline of History and O. Henry's Works, and takes pride in its arrangement with Mr. Barton for an edition of these two books, by which you get them both, with our compliments, simply by becoming a subscriber to The Necessary Magazine. Further, the magazine subscription may be paid for in small monthly installments. Still further, you need send no money at all in ordering. Just your signature and address on the enclosed card bring the books to you, and if you have any reason for stopping the order, after browsing through the two volumes, you are perfectly free to do it. Our special subscribers edition is not sold in the bookstores. The books are regular-sized library volumes. The Review of Reviews sells for $4 a year. You get the two volumes entirely without cost by simply becoming a subscriber for the Review of Reviews for 18 months at the regular price. And could you even, aside from these two inspiring books, spend any money more usefully than by subscribing to the Review of Reviews? Such men as Nicholas Murray Butler and Theodore Roosevelt, on the one side, and on the other, miners and alert farmers in the far west, have relied on it year after year to keep them up to date. What you read in the newspapers so often gets into a mental jumble. The Review of Reviews straightens it out for you. Dr. Albert Shaw surveys the month's happenings and notable persons for you in his Progress of the World. Frank Simons, the clearest and most fascinating writer on Europe's affairs, gives you a clean-cut picture of international happenings and issues. The Review's famous Current History and Caricature amuses and instructs you by telling the history of the month with the most successful cartoons from all over the world. In this day of floods of magazines with no one able to read 1/10 of them, the department leading articles of the month takes the gist out of the notable features appearing in all periodicals and serves it to you fresh. Besides, there are contributed articles, a magazine in itself, that inform you on just the worthwhile subject men are talking of, the ones that will help in your life and work. The less time you have for reading, the more you need the Review of Reviews. It is enough to keep you up with the times. It is the magazine of magazines. It is called The Necessary Magazine by the largest number of subscribers any monthly of current events has or has ever had. The intellectual aristocracy of America, with such a helpful magazine, with two such gifts with it, with nothing to do but sign your name without cost or obligation, there is but one thing to remember. Send the card promptly because thousands will lose no time in getting these most desired of current books. Sincerely yours. Dear neighbor, will you set me right on one point about yourself? I'm wondering if your idea of the Christ is like that of most people, a man of sorrows sent to this earth to undergo certain sacrificial experiences, glad to get them over with, looking forward always to getting back to his heavenly home. That is the idea of Jesus that most people have. That is the idea of him that many teachers have fostered, but it is not the idea of him that a careful reading of the Gospels will give you. A physical weakling? Ascetic? Anemic? Jesus was a successful carpenter in a day when tools were few and sheer strength took the place of winches and pulleys. A man of sorrows. He made people happy wherever he went. The sick, the poor, the sorrowful, all flocked to him and were sent away happy. Little children loved him and were joyous and happy with him. He was the most popular dinner guest in Jerusalem. A failure? Why, he was the founder of modern business. For what is the watchword of the successful business of today? What but service? And 1900 years ago, Jesus preached on the shores of Galilee, "Whosoever will be great among you shall be your minister, and whosoever of you will be the chiefest shall be servant of all." Is there one word of that which does not apply to the well-run modern business? Yet most people think that this idea of giving more than you are paid for is a new idea. It is simply that the world is only now waking up to the practicability of Jesus' teachings. For years, people have had the feeling that what a man did on weekdays was somehow contaminating. That church on Sunday was to wipe out this stain so that he might make good in the hereafter. When the fact is that what really counts is not the things you profess on Sundays, but the things you practice on weekdays. That is what modern business is coming to believe. That is the spirit that animated all of Jesus' words and actions, as portrayed in the most interesting, the most talked about story of Jesus ever written, The Man Nobody Knows. By Bruce Barton, with its companion volume. The book Nobody Knows, it has taken the business world by storm. It shows Jesus, not as a man of sorrows, not as a meek and lowly Lamb of God, but as the greatest of all figures in history, as the practical ideal of the modern businessman. I came that you might have life and have it more abundantly. He differed from the prophets. He differed from John the Baptist. He brought a new idea into the world that changed the whole current of history. Would you know what that idea is? Then read these two great books. They tell you of the greatest thought ever conceived. And it is to further that thought that we have arranged with Bruce Barton to offer his two inspiring books with a review of reviews at a very special price. The Man Nobody Knows and the book Nobody Knows sell for $4. The review of reviews is $4 a year. If you will mail the enclosed card at once, you can get all three. Not for $8, but for only $2 a month for 3 months, or $5.30 in one cash payment. The Barton books will give you a new and far more inspiring conception of Jesus, of his work, and of the Bible. The review of reviews will bring to you each month the best of the world's thought and achievements. It gleans from the great mass of newspapers and magazines and really worthwhile articles and presents the meat of them to you. It is, in short, a master key to all that has happened during the previous 30 days. One edition only. Our arrangement with Bruce Barton is for only one edition of his books at this special price. When that one edition is gone, your opportunity goes with it. But while that edition lasts, you can see these books, browse through them, read them for a week, without cost and without obligation. Just your name and address on the enclosed card are all that is necessary. There's only one condition. Your card must be mailed right away. Hastily yours. On another occasion, we felt we needed a quite different type of reader. The man of 35, 40, or 45 who feels himself beginning to slip a little, who is no longer as vigorous and full of vitality as he would like, whose muscles are flabby and whose hair is beginning to thin. How could we pick him from the mass of humanity that reads the papers and books and magazines? He is no longer interested in muscle building as such. He wants his ease, but he also wants health and vitality and vigor enough to enjoy life as of yore. So, we got for him a course of lessons fathered by the Life Extension Institute, and with it as our bait, we landed some 50,000 readers for the review of reviews. Just see how easily and naturally this letter and circular does it. A message to you from the great men of medicine. Do you know the 5 elementary rules of right living? The 10 guiding principles of exercise? What exercise will keep you in fit condition? What a normal man should be able to do. When sunshine is injurious, When it is nature's most powerful drug? How to cure headache? What the muscles need most? What exercise is necessary for women? How fresh air concerns the skin? How a watering mouth affect digestion? What are the vitally important vitamins? When to take hot or cold baths? The body's danger signals? What the heart needs most? How the eyes may be rested? Good morning, sir. Remember how you used to plow through great masses of work, day after day and month after month, cheerily, enthusiastically, with never a sign of tiring or nervous strain? Remember how you used to enjoy those evenings, starting out as fresh from your office or shop as you hadn't just put a hard day's work behind you? No doubt you've often wondered why you. What causes colds? Can't work and enjoy yourself like that now, but solaced yourself with the moth-eaten fallacy that as a man grows older, he shouldn't expect to get the same fun out of life that he did in his earlier years. Poor old exploded idea. Youth is not a matter of time. It is a physical state. You can be just as brisk, just as active, just as lighthearted now as you were 10 or 20 years ago. Genuine youth is just a perfect state of health. You can have that health and the boundless energy and capacity for work or enjoyment that go with it. You can cheat time of 10 or 20 years merely by taking thought, by how to eat, how to sleep, how to exercise right. You need no painful, lengthy exercise, no weary diet, just to live a sensible life. Modern science tells us that old age is merely our name for the gradual poisoning of our bodies. Aches and pains burrow and creeping through the body, a relaxed abdomen, deepening lines on the face, jangling nerves, a haunting feeling of dullness and gloom. These outward signs indicate that actual poisons are being deposited in blood, tissues, and joints. If we eliminate them, we go far towards eliminating old age. But if in our happy-go-lucky way we allow the poisons to remain in the body, we look old and feel old no matter what our age. For the first time in the history of medicine, the leading physicians and scientists have given their time, study, instruction, and praise to a great popular work that embodies the very latest medical research and science. For the first time, the world's greatest specialists have written down in simple, understandable language what you must do to build up a live, strong body, muscular, upstanding. To get that virile feeling of red-blooded energy and enthusiasm that comes only from perfect health. The Review of Reviews course in physical training tells you, free, how to sweep the system clean of poisons, how to get well, stay well, and have a body you can be proud of. For 2 years, the Life Extension Institute, which has secured through its hygiene reference board of 100 leading physicians and scientists the most comprehensive and tested knowledge on these subjects, worked with the editors appointed by the Review of Reviews to get all of the scientific fact in logical order, written in such simple, understandable language that even the busiest man could instantly grasp its meaning. Thousands of these courses, made up into 15 complete lessons, were sold to business and professional men all over the country at a price of $18. And if you could see the letters that come to us every day, telling of renewed health and vigor, of happiness and content brought back into troubled homes, you'd readily believe that they were well worth the price. But 15 lessons were too many for really a busy man, so we have condensed all the essentials of the course into 7 interesting, meaty lessons. These 7 lessons given to you free. Because this course in physical training will appeal most strongly only to the more intelligent and wide-awake business and professional men of the country, and because these are the very people that we want as readers of the Review of Reviews, we are going to give this course absolutely free with an 18-month subscription to the Review of Reviews at the regular subscription price of the magazine alone, payable if you like in little monthly payments of only $50. Some friends have told us that we ought to charge $15 or $20 for this course, that people would rather pay such a sum than get it free. They repeated the old story of the man who stood on London Bridge trying to give away gold sovereigns without takers. But we have too much faith in the intelligence and alertness of the kind of people who want to read the Review of Reviews to believe that they will refuse a thing of great value simply because they are not asked to pay a lot of money for it. When a man or woman receives this course, uses it, gets health, happiness, and efficiency from it, realizes that it has brought in concise, easily understood, attractive terms what science has learned to date about developing his body, about proper habits, about what to eat. He swears by the review of reviews, and that is all there is of value to a magazine property. A body of people who swear by it. Just put this squarely up to your own good judgment. You want to look your best all the time. You want a lithe, strong figure, broad-shouldered, upstanding. You want muscles tough and springy that will do all you ask of them and then beg for more. You want that feeling of red-blooded energy and enthusiasm that comes only from perfect health. Here in this course, you can get them, not from any quack remedy, but from the sound principles worked out from the vast experience of the greatest scientists and physicians of the day. To prove it, all you have to do is to fill in, sign, and mail the enclosed card. At the end of a week, you can return the course if you want to. Try it out. Never mind what we say it will do for you. Find out. It's easy. Just send the card. Remember, there is no obligation attached. The card order is merely a chance for the course to sell itself to you. There is no cost, no obligation to keep it, until you have tried it out for a week in your own home and are satisfied. Just let the card come forward. It obligates us only, not you. But remember, this offer holds good only while the free edition of the course lasts, and there are just 1,700 sets now left. So put your name on the card and mail it now. There's no time to waste. Yours right cheerily. There were numbers of such offers. Lincoln, Barnum, Tom Masson's Best of the World's Good Stories, and a dozen others. All were reasonably good letters as results go. Of Masson's stories, for instance, we sold 20,000 sets. But there was nothing especially distinctive about any of them, so we quote below only 3 typical letters and circulars of the kind. The first offered a short course in building wireless sets for the home. It was written. You must remember, a year or so after the war, when the idea of wireless in the home was in its earliest stages, and many more sets were being built by amateurs than sold through stores. The following letter and circular sold about 10,000 courses. Edited and approved by Major General George Squier, Chief of the Signal Corps of the U.S. Army. Dear neighbor, if you do as F.J. Cavaney did, he lives in a little mining camp up in the North Woods. You need never again be shut off, even for a day, from the best in music and entertainment, from the world of sports, from the news of the market, from the events of the day. No matter where you may be, in city or country, in mountain cabin or camp news, entertainment, music, education, are literally in the air all about you. You have but to reach out and take what you want, and you can take of them according to your own tastes. The baseball fan can get the score, inning by inning, play by play. The businessman, the record of the markets, the news of the day. His wife, entertainment, opera, lectures, fashions. The young folks, comedy and dance music. The little ones, bedtime songs and stories. The government spent millions to make this possible. The great invention which made the radiophone simple and easy as an ordinary telephone was perfected only a short time ago as a result of experiments conducted during the war by the U.S. Signal Corps, working in conjunction with the great electrical companies. It cost the government literally millions. It is one of the few big dividends to humanity that came out of our vast war expenditures. When it was perfected, the radio phone left the laboratory and moved into the home. The world on the wireless. There is no known limit to the distance at which wireless messages can be picked up if the receiving apparatus is delicate enough. The time will come when you can listen in on a grand opera at Seville or Vienna as easily as you can on New York. When you can dance to the strains of an orchestra in Paris or St. Petersburg. When you can hear the British Premier address the House of Commons or the Pope blessing the pilgrims at Rome. An easy course in home radio. Home radio has been brought within the reach of everyone, rich or poor, young or old, flat dweller or mountaineer. Any man or boy can make a set at little expense. 7 noted engineers and professors have combined to produce a course that shows in easy, untechnical language what to do and how to do it, what to make and how to make it, what to buy if you prefer buying your set, and how to run it. Edited by Major General Squier, Chief of the Signal Corps. Because he believes that it can be made one of the greatest forces for good for the youth of the country, because he feels that it will do more than anything else to restore the home circle. Major General George O. Squier, chief of the Signal Corps of the U.S. Army, and probably the one man in the whole United States who most thoroughly understands the subject, has helped us to make this course as reliable, as authoritative, as up to the minute as it can be made. He has gone over every word of the copy, corrected, revised, suggested, and the result has his hearty endorsement and approval. Sent on approval prepaid. The air is full of wireless messages every hour of the day. In the evening particularly, there are treats which no one ought to miss. Famous people will talk to you, sing for you, amuse you. You don't have to buy a single ticket. You don't have to reserve seats. All you need to do is mailing the card enclosed and get these simple lessons. They will open the way for you to the most marvelous entertainment you ever had. Think of it. One evening's puttering on the part of father, or the boys will bring you something you can enjoy the rest of your life. And the lessons are sent you on approval, prepaid. If you don't like them, if they are not clear and simple and easy enough for even a child to understand, send them back. Your money will be refunded at once. No quibbling, no questions asked. But send your card now. Every day you are missing something good. Don't delay another minute. Get your ticket now for this perpetual entertainment. Sign and mail the postcard. Yours for a happy home circle. It happened that a manufacturer had printed a big edition of Shakespeare in little leather volumes to use as a premium of some kind. And after his sale was over, he found himself with some thousands of sets still on hand that he had no use for. So he offered them to us at a ridiculously low figure. We took them and used them to sell with a subscription to the Review of Reviews, feeling that Shakespeare readers were just the type we wanted on the review list. Here is the letter that did the trick. It not only pulled its 4%, but even better than that figure with the result that we cleaned up the entire stock in the first circularizing and could have disposed of a good many thousands more. But we could not get them made at a figure that would enable us to duplicate the offer. Here's the letter. Exquisite, convenient, permanent. Shakespeare, 20 volumes in real leather and gold, pocket size for $1. If only 4% of our readers accept this offer, it will take all the sets we have on hand. If that happens, we cannot make and offer you a new edition at less than 5 times the price shown above. These are bedrock facts that we absolutely guarantee. Read the enclosed circular for the explanation. We emphasize them because this is such an extraordinary bargain. And unless you act at once, you will lose it forever. Sign the enclosed card now, and you will get these 20 exquisite little volumes promptly. Put it off, and you can't get them at all unless you are prepared to pay 5 times the price. Shakespeare, preeminent as to all time and all nations, is also preeminently the author to have in convenient pocket size. Every sentence, every word is a gem, brilliant and imperishable. Every play belongs in just such a bijou jewel box of a volume as are each these 20. Naturally, we are confining this most attractive bargain of years to Review of Reviews subscribers. All you have to do to get in on it is to become a subscriber to the Review of Reviews, a thing that over 250,000 of the best-informed people are doing anyhow without any wonderful Shakespeare inducement. And to clinch it, you have the privilege of returning the books and getting your money back in full, if, on examining them, you wish to do so. So, you can't lose by signing and mailing the card. You can get the best bargain of your life. But you must act now before these few hundred sets are gone. Sincerely yours. P.S. If you are already a subscriber to the Review of Reviews, your subscription will be extended a year from its present date of expiration. Why do people buy magazines? More often than not for relaxation. They get the more serious type like the Review for Instruction, in order that they may be posted on what is going on in the world. But they will not read too much instruction at one time. They need relaxation in between. And as the Review does not publish fiction, the best way to supply it seemed to be as a premium. So, as we wanted the fiction to be on the same high plane as the Review itself, we chose for our premium, or rather Fred Stone did, for it was his idea, the stories that are awarded the O. Henry Prize as being the best of the year. And we sold some 30,000 to 40,000 copies of them. Here is the way we did it. To those who want the best for themselves and their young people, dear reader, If you had a committee of wise literary experts picking out for you from all the 24,000 short stories published in the last 4 years, just those that are worthwhile, thrilling, tragic, or charmingly witty, just the stories that are really worth your reading and preserving. Would you esteem it a service, and would you value having these 64 selected master stories to enjoy yourself and read to others? If further, these 8 volumes of 64 super stories were serviceably bound in heavy paper covers and given to you free as a subscriber to the Review of Reviews, would you snap up the chance? The distinctive achievement in American fiction is the short story. Gems are appearing every month or so, but how can you find them? Buried in an avalanche of 6,000 stories published every year in 100 periodicals and books. The problem cannot be solved by you, but it has been solved for you by the Society of Arts and Sciences, which has been, through these 4 years, reading and studying each of this vast number of stories to make the O. Henry Memorial Award, the prizes that go to the really significant, outstanding short stories appearing each year. In each volume is an introduction showing how and why the prizes were awarded, of real value and keen interest to everyone who appreciates a corking short story, and absolutely invaluable to the younger folk whose tastes and standards are forming. If you are one of those who enjoy a good short story, why have anything less good than the best? It is obvious that no favorite magazine or favorite author can hit the bullseye every time. In these 8 volumes of 1,200 pages are the 64 bullseyes made out of about 24,000 tries at the target of excellence. Here are not only the star writers of short stories, but the star stories of each of these artists selected from all their work. And here and again is a wonderfully gripping tale by some new writer, not yet recognized as a star, or the man or woman who tells only one or only a very few really great tales. The only test for admission to the galaxy is the question, will the reader be thrilled, amused, exalted, moved to tears with true literary art? And anyone who in any particular story surpasses his fellows is admitted to the prize volume for your delight. Read this carefully. The books will cost you nothing except 10 cents for delivery, bound serviceably in heavy paper, in a style making them easily worth $3 or $4 for the set of 8 volumes. They will be shipped to you on receipt of the enclosed coin card in which place a dime. At the same time, you will be put on the subscription list of the Review of Reviews for 18 months. Subscription price $4 per year. And you will receive bills for the subscription in little monthly installments of 75 cents. The Review of Reviews has been for 30 years under Dr. Albert Shaw's editorship, the standard and most widely circulated monthly in the world, to keep people up to date in literature, politics, public personalities, and the large affairs of this earth, with the acknowledged leader of the authorities on European affairs, Frank H. Simons, contributing to every issue. It is a magazine you must have to keep up with the times, and you will find it more than ever necessary in the coming election year, with its stirring and puzzling political events and problems and persons. Get with it, at no cost to you, this charming set of books with the most delightful entertainment, and you need have no dull half hour this coming year. We have made one sizable edition of this set containing the prize stories of the past 4 years, but, in our judgment, not one more than will be called for by those receiving this offer. So, if you want the solid and useful value of the magazine, and the sparkling entertainment of the prize stories, utility and pleasure combined, send the coin card at once. Yours truly, P.S. Special prize for you. As subsequent volumes appear of stories selected for the O. Henry Memorial Prizes, one for each year, readers accepting this offer may get them from us as soon as they are published, for 60 cents if they are still subscribers to the Review of Reviews, whereas the retail price of the volumes is $1.90 each. That was our main business, keeping the magazine supplied with plenty of live, interested subscribers who ordered from us by mail, and therefore would be most relied to order by mail products advertised in our pages. But we were not neglecting the book business. Always we managed to keep some set going. There were none to attain the proportions of O. Henry, Simons, and Wells, but by selling 10,000 to 20,000 lots of different authors, we managed to keep the pot boiling. 2 such typical sales were Mary Roberts Rinehart and Irvin Cobb. Of the former, we sold 20,000 sets. Of the latter, 10,000, Mrs. Rinehart's stories seemed to lend themselves to illustration even better than Cobb's, possibly because among them were some good detective stories. The two Rinehart letters and circulars, and the one describing Cobb, speak for themselves. In both cases, we felt that the authors were so well known and their stories so popular that we needed to waste little time in convincing our readers that they would enjoy them. We had only to tell them what they were getting and then give them a reason for ordering a complete set at once, rather than pick up the books one at a time as they felt the urge to read them. So in our letters, we concentrated on bargain and special offer, using the circular to whet their appetites for the stories themselves. Half-price introductory offer. Dear Sir, who are the 192 greatest living American women? The officers of the National League of Women Voters were staggered by that question. They called on the Women's Joint Congressional Committee, and the committee in turn called in such men as Chauncey Depew, Director Johnson of the Hall of Fame, President McCracken of Vassar, and President Mises of NY City College to help them make up the list. The exact 12 will probably never be decided upon, but by taking those few that practically everyone was agreed upon, the fame of one name at least was established beyond all question. That name was Mary Roberts Rinehart. 10 million magazine readers, hundreds of thousands of movie and theater goers, scores of thousands of library patrons, all attest her as the most popular, as well as one of the 12 greatest women in America today. Free and daring, the very spirit of American womanhood, clean and wholesome as nature itself. She thrills, fascinates, perplexes, and amuses you. It's as stimulating as a cold plunge on a hot day just to come under her spell. The baffling mysteries of the circular staircase and, the man in lower 10. The daring humor of Bob, Tish, or When a Man Marries. The charming love stories and ingenious escapades in any one of a dozen other stories all capture your interest in the very first page and hold it to the last. No one so jaded but that he will find new and thrilling sensations here. For the first time, although Mrs. Rinehart's admirers are numbered by the millions, curiously enough, they have never before had a chance to get her collected works, a full set of her best stories, selected by herself and her publishers. For the first time, you can now get them, and at a cost that seems ridiculously low when compared with the recent war. Time figures. Half-price introductory offer. This is the first collected edition of Mary Roberts Rinehart's best stories, and naturally she wants to make it a success. In order to enable us to offer it to you at a lower price than her books have ever sold at before, in order to make this first edition go like wildfire, she has agreed to accept exactly 1/10 of her usual rate of royalty on the first edition of 10,000 sets. Paper prices have come down, labor costs are lower, and now, with this generous concession of Mrs. Rinehart's, we can make you a price of this one edition actually lower than the pre-war figures. Little more than half what these same volumes would cost you in any bookstore. And in addition, if your order comes in at once, we will send you the 3 latest and best volumes of Conan Doyle, free. To start the sale with a rush, to make you order now rather than wait for some special occasion like Christmas or a birthday, we will give you, if your order comes in at once, these 3 latest and best volumes of Conan Doyle free. 15 books, 12 volumes of Rinehart, and 3 of Doyle, all printed from brand new plates, clear and readable, and beautifully bound in cloth. Bought separately at any bookstore, they would cost you nearly twice as much as we offer them to you here on approval, subject to a week's free examination. And you can pay for them, if you like, in tiny convenient payments of $1 a month, 25 cents a week. Will you be one of the lucky ones? Will you send your card now while you can get the 3 volumes of Doyle free? Or will you put off sending the postcard until this rare opportunity is past? Until you can get these fascinating volumes only at their regular bookstore prices. Put your name and address on the enclosed card and mail it now, while you can get not only the low price and convenient terms, but in addition, the 3 famous volumes of Conan Doyle free. This is your last chance. Earnestly yours. Your last chance at the low price. Friend! That half-price introductory edition of the best stories of Mary Roberts Rinehart is just about gone. There are only some 700 sets now left. No more can we give you the advantage of Mrs. Rinehart's generous reduction of her royalties to 1/10 their usual figure. No more can we get the low prices for paper, for printing, for binding that we paid for this edition. Half price introductory. That is what we called it, and that is what it actually is, half the price at which we could now reprint these same books and make them up into another edition. While these 700 sets last, you can get your set at the special introductory price. When they are gone, it will cost you double that. Free to those who are prompt. In order to clean out this last remnant of the introductory edition quickly, we are going to give away, as a premium for promptness, 3 volumes of Sir Conan Doyle's latest and best stories, some of his greatest Sherlock Holmes tales. To everyone who will send the enclosed card within 10 days, we will give absolutely free these 3 volumes of Conan Doyle. This is your chance. The last chance you will ever have to get these best Rinehart stories at half price, and the Conan Doyle free. There are only about 700 sets all told, and 700 won't last long. Put your name on the enclosed card now and drop in the mail. You will never have another chance. Yours for 10 days only. Extra, extra, all about the great reduction, off Irvin Cobb. Friend, what is it that makes people love the spontaneous humor of Mark Twain? What is it about Bret Harte's stories that made him an imperishable figure in American letters? What is it in Poe's grotesque tales that make you read and reread them, though the chills run down your spine and your blood runs cold with horror? Isn't it that one infallible mark of genius, the masterly blending of humor, tragedy, pathos, and romance, that comes to but 1 or 2 storytellers in a generation? Now has come to us Irvin S. Cobb. Take the joyous humor of Mark Twain, the subtle feeling of Bret Harte, the gruesome talent of Poe, mix them together, then add a touch of O. Henry, and you begin to get some idea of his sparkling genius. Robert H. Davis, editor of Munsey's, says of him, Cobb writes in octaves, striking instinctively all the chords of humor, tragedy, pathos, and romance. If you desire a perfect blending of all that is essential to a short story, read any of Cobb's stories. In Cobb, we find Mark Twain, Bret Harte, and Edgar Allan Poe at their best. Cobb is Mark Twain's logical successor. He mixes humor and sage reflection as intimately as the cook mixes the ingredients for the stuffing in the turkey. He has made more people laugh than any man since Twain's day. In his touches of human interest, in the subtle play of his wit and humor, in his vivid portrayal of the life and character of everyday people, his homely tales are little masterpieces. The first uniform edition. Hundreds of thousands of Irvin Cobb's books have been sold in all styles and bindings. His humorous contributions have been running for years in the biggest magazines and newspapers all over the country. But there has never yet been brought out a single uniform edition of all his fascinating tales and humorous stories. Now, for the first time, you can get them. 76 different stories, humorous, homely, lovable, serious, grotesque. We have had his 18 books reset in new, clear type, bound them up into 10 library volumes in a handsome uniform binding, and now offer them to you in a limited introductory edition at 40% off the regular price. The little folder enclosed shows you the 18 volumes you get. Lists for you the 76 stories. Send for them. There is no cost, no obligation to keep them until you have looked them over for a week in your own home and are satisfied. Then and then only you can send us the first small payment of $1 and thereafter $1 a month for only 11 months. Merely put your name and address on the enclosed card and drop it in the mail. The books will be sent you at our expense. Do it now while this small introductory edition lasts, while you can get this complete set of all his entertaining stories, all his wit and humor, at 40% less than their regular price. The card commits us only, not you. Use it. Yours in waiting. P.S. 2 additional prizes for promptness. We are bringing out this introductory edition now merely to gauge the demand so as to determine quickly how big an edition to make for our regular sale. You can help us, if you will, by sending in your free examination card at once. To make it worth your while, we offer you these 2 prizes for promptness. Mail your card within 10 days after you receive it, and we will send you one of the few sets with Irvin Cobb's own personal autograph on the flyleaf. And in addition, we will send you free the 2 volumes of Tom Masson's Best of the World's Good Stories. Contain the 1,000 best stories, witty sayings, and most convulsive anecdotes that he accumulated in his 15 years as editor of Life. There is a story here for every need, from an after-dinner talk to a political speech, from a salesman's canvas to a director's meeting. In all of these, you will notice a similarity of treatment, the circular being used in every case merely to support and lend greater interest to the letter. As we see it, a letter, circular, and card are just an advertisement, divided into its component parts. An advertisement must compete with all the items of interest around it, with current news, with good stories, with timely photographs. So it puts an arresting illustration at the top, it uses a startling headline to get people to read on, and it saves its reasons why and its hooks and bait until the last. Put that same advertisement into an envelope just as it stands, and it will not pull 1/4 as well as when split up into letter, circular, and card. I have tried it a dozen times with our most successful ads, and I know. It requires a letter with it to carry the load. The circular may be used to win interest, and for this purpose, the advertisement's headline and illustration are transferred to it. But the reader turns to the letter for his real reason for ordering, and unless you have your hook in it, your chance of getting his order is slim. We have had an occasional circular which overshadowed the letter, but when it does, it is well to examine your letter and see what is wrong with it. Usually you will find it is weak, for as a general thing, your letter will account for 65 to 75% of the orders you get, your circular for 15 to 25%, and your postcard or order form for 5 to 10%. There are variations from these figures, of course, but if you expect big results from your mail efforts, look to your letter for them. If the stuff is not in it, you will never get the results. And that is the end of Chapter 14. If you would like to grab your copy of the Robert Collier letter book, click the link in the description and you will find it available in German, Spanish, and French, alongside many other fundamental marketing books. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more direct response content. See you in the next one.